What do you know about restorative justice? It's completely okay if you have no idea what this term is. Because in our opinion, it's really just a much better version of this. So let's take a look at the facts. When schools have law enforcement on site, students are more likely to be arrested by police instead of discipline being handled by school officials. Similarly, school officials have given armed police authority to stop, frisk, detain, question, search, and arrest school children on and off school grounds. Also, police routinely arrest and transport youth to juvenile detention centers for minor classroom misbehaviors. And finally, hundreds of school districts across the country employ discipline policies that push students out of the classroom and into the criminal justice system at alarming rates. So how can we change the current methods of behavior control in education to better practices? This is where restorative justice comes into play. And it all starts with our educators. So what exactly is restorative justice? Restorative justice is a form of rehabilitation that focuses on reconciliation rather than punishment. This practice welcomes students back into the education system after an instance of misbehavior in a healthy and positive way with the support of the school and the community at large. So why restorative justice instead of other methods such as unnecessary punishment, suspension, expulsion, and law enforcement involvements? The traditional approach focuses on rules, regulation, and punishment. These tactics force students out of the classroom, prohibiting learning and often not solving behavioral issues at all, sometimes even making them worse. Restorative practices, on the other hand, emphasize understanding the impact of your choices and repairing harm. These methods allow the students to continue their learning while improving their behavior simultaneously. So what can our educators do to implement restorative justice practices into their own classrooms? There are steps that teachers can take in order to implement these programs into their own classrooms. The first step is to introduce class-wide circles on a regular basis. Discussion circles based on communication not only allows students to voice their concerns about the class or their lives outside of class, but it builds a sense of community and trust between the class and with the teacher. The second step is to respond to conflict with a conversation. Say things like, "So what happened in there?" Or, "How do you feel about what just happened?" And, "How do you think what just happened impacted those around you?" Using non-accusatory discussion allows the teacher and the student to work out the conflict in a calm and effective manner. The third step is to include the whole class when determining potential consequences and next steps for unfavorable behavior. Incorporating student voice into the decision-making process results in greater understanding of how misbehavior impacts the class as a whole. It is important to avoid marginalizing any one student during these discussions and aim to encourage students to focus on what they can improve upon individually. The fourth and final step is to model the same qualities you hope to build. Children, more than anyone, model the behavior that they see. If a teacher can model peaceful, respectful, and dedicated behavior, students are much more likely to reflect the same actions. So why should you care about restorative justice? If you are an educator, restorative justice builds trust between you and your students, which is an important and crucial part of a student-teacher relationship. Restorative justice practices teach young students how to be responsible and active members of your classrooms. These practices help your student take responsibility for their actions by giving them support to move forward instead of continuing to repeat the cycle of misbehavior followed by punishment. If you are a parent of a student, restorative justice is a beneficial method that can truly help your child. If your child is constantly being suspended, it is likely they are falling even more behind in class. Restorative justice allows them to still be an active participant in class while also working out the problem and getting the support they need. Even if this does not concern your child, it is impacting someone else's child. Additionally, altercations within the classroom are preventing your child from receiving the education that they deserve. If you are a student, restorative justice allows you to build long-lasting relationships with your teachers and peers. Reducing conflict within the classroom and installing a more peaceful environment allows you to get the most out of your education. And even if you think this topic of conversation isn't hitting close to home, it is, because it's happening right here in Urbana. The schools in the Urbana School District have been trying to implement restorative justice practices in their schools, but recently, higher administration that have been working on these practices have been fired, which is extremely controversial. To learn more about what is happening here in Urbana, please go to the link listed here. Remember that no matter who you are, restorative justice is important to you.